Yo, good morning. Good morning. What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's a good morning. Good morning to Sam. Good morning to my fam. I really don't know what I'm gonna say this morning. Just saying good morning. Yeah, it's in work mode. Decided to go live while I'm working. Just want to encourage everybody this morning. It's Monday. It's a new year. Just took the trash out. Just ate breakfast. What up, Lexington, Kentucky? What's good with you? I ain't been in Kentucky. It's been a long time. I'm trying to remember who I was out there with. Probably it's been a while. So, what are you guys up to this morning? What are you guys working on? Some of y'all are probably on the way to work. I imagine for those of you who are not on the way to work, hopefully if you're not on the way to work, you're on the way to work. Meaning you're working on vision. So I'm in the middle of some projects, some real dope situations. Stuff that's been long set aside. For me, I refuse to. First of all, let me pray. Thank you, Lord, for just being faithful to us and allowing us to have life and breath and purpose. And a lot of us, what up, my sis Blair? Um, I'm sorry, Lord. I get scatterbrained. But thank you for giving us purpose, life, breath. Thank you for letting us make it to 2021. I'm grateful that we're in 2021 when so many people did not make it. And you know what? I don't look at it as a negative thing, Lord, that people who passed away, everybody has an appointment to move on to the next life. And everybody has. I'm choosing to believe that a lot of ones who did pass away made it to their reward, and a good one that is. Everything is not always negative. Everybody's not going to. It's who passed away. It's not a bad thing. For some people, their passing away is a good thing, Lord. So I thank you that there are people that you were actually so merciful and good to that you did take them, God. And I thank you for those lives that were able to bless us, that were on the earth. But I pray that as we all embark upon this year, that we embark upon a year of purpose, a year of fruit, a year of favor, and that we don't waste our time. That we live every moment to the fullest, God. And I thank you, Lord. And then I pray that our dreams, the things that you've put in our heart to do that we were afraid to do last year and the years previously, I pray, God, that you give us the courage to take this year by storm. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So y'all, that's the goal, man. This year is a year of purpose. I saw somebody say something about they doing vision planning, of planning and doing vision. I was thinking about something last night, right? I had a conversation with somebody about, it's very easy in your younger years to, if certain things didn't happen or materialize, it's very easy to, he said, yes, sir. I didn't even, you know what? Originally, I found out about it last minute. Trey kind of put me D to it. We hadn't had a plan for what the rehearsal schedule is yet. SD, what is up, my bro? Please let's connect this year, bro. I mean, maybe this week if we can. Actually got some ideas I'd love to talk to you about. But this year, I was having a conversation with somebody about. I was having a conversation with somebody about when you're younger, when you were in your younger years, right? For those of us who are a little older. And my hope is for younger people. I want to be, my goal is to be a big brother, a voice of wisdom to those who are younger, who are working on just navigating this, just life in general. You know what I mean? Like when you're younger, man, you tend to have a mentality of invincibility, and you tend to believe that you can do anything. And there is some validity to that. I think you have a higher level of faith when you're younger. I think the older you get, sometimes you lose faith because things didn't happen when you thought it should happen, or things didn't happen the way you thought it should happen. So when you tend to, got you, SD. You tend to, when you're younger, you tend to have a higher level of faith. You have a higher level of belief that you can do a lot. Like, yo, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna take the world. I'm gonna be. I used to always read those articles that would be like the 20 millionaires under 20. And I used to want to be on that list. Like, yo, I'm gonna be 30 under 30. I'm gonna be the 30, one of the 30 richest dudes under 30. And let me tell you something. I'm gonna be straight up. 18 out, straight out of high school, I went hard, like, after my dreams. I was not. I'm a very my nature is a very focused. I'm a very anal, very focused person. If I want to accomplish something, do it. I'm the kind of guy that loses sleep to get something done that could be impossible. That's just how I work. And I praise God for that. Sometimes when you move like that, though, because the scripture said be anxious for nothing. I wish I would have been a lot more patient, coming up. But when I was a very ambitious young man, and I accomplished a lot early. I mean, when I say there were people I wanted to work with, dreams that I used to have, and I'm like, yo, I want to work with this person, this person. If there was a person that I didn't work with, it was because they died. It wasn't because I wasn't putting forth the work to produce that effort. So I ended up, in a lot of ways, I worked with a lot of my heroes quickly. I mean, Philly was on fire at the time in terms of like the music scene. Sometimes when you have a high level of faith, it's almost like faith can almost be like a magnet. Like if you really got some strong faith, faith can be like a magnet, and it can pull things towards you. I mean, massive things. And so I'm a kind of guy that used to have the belief like, yo, somebody gonna create an industry for me, that because my faith is so strong. And so, you coming out of North Philly, growing up, you don't know how you're gonna do X, Y, and Z, but I just had a lot of faith. I was a big daydreamer, and I think, when you were younger, they tell you not to daydream, but that was major for me. I would be in school dreaming about what I would do and what I would accomplish and who I wanted to be, and so I early on ended up working with a lot of my heroes. I would find myself in rooms that I'm like, you couldn't have told me that this person was going to set foot in Philadelphia. I would have thought I would have had to go to California to meet this person, ATL, certain scenes, New York. But I would be in a room with somebody like, and, not trying to name drop, but I would find myself in rooms with Timbaland. Like, what in the world am I doing in a room with Timbaland right now? You know what I mean? Somebody who I was a major fan of. I'll never forget when I first heard, it was a track that he did. Was it with Aaliyah or Genuine? I think it was with Aaliyah, where he had a baby sound in a song. And I'm like, yo, what is, and I heard his sound and his approach, and it completely made me think of, he made me think of, just wanting to get into production. Like, and this dude just made me a huge fan of sounds. And then you fast forward to 2003, and Timbaland is in Philly working on Justin Timberlake's record, his first album. And I just never forget that Larry Gold, who owned the studio, called me and said, get down here right now. Get down here right now. I got to that studio within the next 20 minutes. I don't even know if I took a I know I did take a shower, but because I wouldn't go walk in that room any kind of way. But I'll never forget, I'm walking in the studio and Timbaland has an entourage in that room, and they pull out a clavinet and Timbaland is like, they was like, yo, Timbaland, this is the young boy we was telling you about. And Timbaland looks me up and down and sizes me up, and he said something funny. He was like, yeah, he said, I done heard everybody. He said, ain't nobody better than Devontae. And y'all know Devontae from Jodeci. So I'm like, okay. So the pressure is on. So they pulled out a clavinet and pulled it on the other side of the room at the wall. They set up a wah-wah pedal and they turned on one of Timbaland's epic beats. And first of all, I'm still freaking out because it's Timbaland, and he's like one of those, the heavy kicks, them heavy. Anything about Timbaland sound, and I'm like, oh my god. And he just tells me to just go play, and I mind you, it's about 15 jokers just all in that room. It was packed, and I'll never forget walking over to the board, and I'm talking to myself, Paris, don't you screw this up. And I'm in a room with my hero. But the point that I'm trying to make is, when you have a high level of faith and you believe, if God shows you something, or if there's something that inspires you, sometimes we'll get a vision of things that, of the future. If you have enough faith, you can pull the future into today. You can pull it. You'll be surprised. You're like, how come, I'm telling you, if you got faith, the crazy thing is fear works the same way. They both work the same way. Faith and fear both works the same way. When you have faith, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. When you have faith and you really believe, what happens is it becomes like a magnet that or like a gravitational pull, where it will pull the thing you believe into the present. And it's like, as you're moving towards it's moving towards you. And if you remain in a faith posture, the thing that you were born to meet, the people you were born to connect with, will connect with you. And I'm telling you, I've had many appointments that I've met in my life that have manifested because I was moving purposefully in faith towards the thing. And that don't mean you know how things are going to happen. That don't mean you know how things are going to work. But I'm telling you, a major portion of what helped push me into today was faith. And I say from a place where that was when I was 18. Now I'm 40 years old, and what I learned is, the older you get, your faith can go through wear and tear. Now this is super key. The older you get, your faith can go through wear and tear, because either what happens is you live life, you go through some experiences, and you experience some disappointments, some setbacks. You go through. There's a very real enemy out there that's trying to stop you, right? So when you experience some of those things, and sometimes we think the enemy is people. I don't believe that our enemies are people. The enemy he can use people and manifest to discourage you, but there's a real enemy, right? And so for me, I started off strong in faith, right? And then I started experiencing life, and what would happen is you would experience some setbacks. Okay, yeah, my faith got me to this place now, but I'm at I reached kind of a plateau, or a new sense of awareness and things of that nature. And in that place, now, one thing I'll say that is super important, right, is I've accomplished a lot of my early dreams. Most of my early dreams, the people I wanted to work with, the places I wanted to be, seeing the world, getting on records, getting placements, doing production, tours, all of that. I've done all of those things. It's important to always keep new dreams. You know what I mean? No matter what you've been able to do and accomplish, what I find to be dangerous is complacency. You get to a place of comfort and complacency, and that can kill you. That can destroy you. And what happens is, sometimes when you become sort of what we consider a professional, when you become this professional, the thing you was trying to accomplish, you was trying to become this professional, you be trying to become accomplished. You can get to that place and think you arrive, and you stop dreaming, and then you start expecting, yo, I paid my dues. This should be, I should have this, I should have that, I should have this. And what happens is sometimes when you become like that, you can lose your drive, and you lose that thing that keeps you moving. Bible says faith without works is dead. You need to have the belief of something, and then you need to have the assisting works to go along with it. What happens is when you get into like sort of like whatever industry you in, for me it was the music industry. You can get into an industry and literally, because you've been there for a little bit now, you used to navigating, you can then get to a place of, yo, where that $4,000, where this bill, and it can literally stop the momentum that you had. The momentum, it can, if you don't understand that you need to always keep pushing for the next. Once you accomplish something, you should, before you even accomplish that thing, you should be in the next sphere. You should be thinking forward. Not, for me, sometimes you can have a lateral. I know it may sound like I'm rambling, but I'm just getting to a point. You can get to a lateral thing where, when I was younger, I was going like this, but when you start getting into the industry, you can almost get like this. Let me network, let me maintain some, let me go from this tour to this tour, from this opportunity to this opportunity, and it could be all that. And you stop doing this. And what do I mean by doing this versus doing this? Well, doing this is going to places you've never seen before, doing things you've never done before. Doing this is more of the same. You know what I mean? So what happened is you get into the game, and you finally made it into the industry, and you like, okay, I did this tour, now I want to do that tour, then I want to do that tour. But it's like, when you've toured. Like, what's something that you have never done before? That, I believe, is something we should always stay in constant. That's what keeps you young. I'm finding that out. Like, accomplishing the impossible in your life are the things that actually keeps you young. That is actually the things that keep you moving. Not the same things. And I think it's important to accomplish some goals and to keep moving towards the unknown. The problem is when you get older, because you start picking up more responsibility. I got a wife now, and I got kids now, I got more to protect. We start looking for some sense of normalcy, and we start looking for, I wanted I want stability. I wanted to make sure, I want to be comfortable. I don't want to, if I'm chasing after that dream, if I'm going after that thing, then, I'm not being responsible. But I'm telling you, the strides that I've taken that have helped make me be a part of some very powerful things that have generational implications. Those things came from dreaming outside of the box. If I'm surrounded by certain people and everybody thinking on a certain wavelength, I learned there was a time where I'm like, if everybody thinking this, I need to be somewhere else. Zai, what up, boy? You say, what about young musicians? What you mean? This is exactly what I'm talking about. You came on later, but I was talking about when I was younger. And you can, when you check out the video when it goes off, I'll keep it up. But when I was younger, I was telling everybody, when you're younger, you tend to have a lot more faith. When you get older, your faith tends to slow down. Why? Because you start becoming more reasonable. I want to be more responsible. I want to make sure, I was 18. When I was 18, I started finding myself connecting with people that I dreamed about connecting with because my faith was higher. I was coming from North Philly, from the hood, and I would just daydream. I'm telling you, the power of daydreaming is important. It is powerful. When you actually start seeing, when you just imagining, I imagine me, on this big tour. I imagine working with my favorite artists. I imagine that. I used to imagine that when I would be in school. I used to imagine these things. And then when I turned 18, and I wasn't just imagining it, I was also putting the work in with my dream. So when you have a high level of faith, faith is like a magnet. It'll pull. It's like as you're moving towards something, it'll pull the thing towards you. I used to dream of. I mean, one of my favorite producers when I was coming up was Timbaland. Roddy Jerkins was a favorite of mine. Well, I've worked with. I didn't work with Roddy Jerkins formally, but I've been in rooms with him, and I will be at his studio and watch him work. With Timbaland, I ended up working on 3 records with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he was trying to do a production deal with me and so many different things like that. But the dreams that I've had when I was younger that I had a lot of faith for, it pulled me into those places, and I ended up, I'm on. If you go back and look at the credits, I'm on 3 Brandy songs with Timbaland. I'm on like 8 songs with Bubba Sparks with Timbaland, and we were getting ready to do a girl he had signed. I did a couple songs with that, but I don't know what happened to that record. But the point is, because my faith was so high, I ended up working with and being around a lot of the people who I dreamed about being around. You know what I mean? When I go back and look at, and I'm 40 now, but when I go back and look at my credits, I'm on mad records. I did mad tours, worked with a lot of people who I admired and respected. And the people who I didn't get to work with that I wanted to work with, they just happened to die. I wanted to work with Michael Jackson. I would have worked with Michael Jackson had he not died. You know who I did work with? Janet Jackson. I ended up being on 2009 American Music Awards, playing with Janet Jackson. Adam Blackstone invited me to work on the opening of that show. Janet Jackson did the opening. You can go on YouTube and see it, and you won't see me on there, but you hear the music. It's me, Adam Blackstone, Little John Roberts on there. So I didn't get to work with Michael, but I got to work with Janet. You know what I mean? Like it's like God. If you have faith and you keep moving, those things will happen. What I'm learning is at 40, you can get to a point to where things that were not normal for you can become normal. And the danger in things becoming normal is you become complacent and you stop moving. Right? And so you move from a realm of faith, a realm of positive attitude where I just believe, I trust, and I just believe. You can move from that to a grumpy place like, man, that dude, they burnt me. I didn't get this. This didn't happen. This didn't happen. How do you know that the deal presented to you is yours or you should take it? God. My relationship with God, and there's nothing that I've done in my career that I did exclusive of that relationship. The most important relationship you're going to develop is the relationship with God. If you don't have a prayer life, faith is important, but faith is not something that you want to have outside of God. So I always let God dictate to me what deals was the deals to take. God would let me do certain things, and then there was others he didn't let me do. And some things I believe he didn't allow me to do for some purposes. Like, for instance, God allowed me to work with Timbaland, but he didn't allow me to sign with him. He was very adamant about that. And I didn't quite. And sometimes, let me tell you something. If you have a relationship with God, he won't always tell you the why. You have to trust his decision. And, if I think looking back now, believe that had I taken the deal with Timbaland, I wouldn't be a believer any longer. You know what I mean? And that's not knocking Timbaland or anybody who ever took those deals. I just know that where I was, I don't believe God wanted me to fully sell myself for an opportunity. Because I know at that point, if I'd have took that deal, I was 23 when it was offered to me. I would have probably not married my wife. I got married to my wife when I was 24. My children, who I couldn't imagine the world living in. If I didn't marry my wife, I wouldn't have my children. We wouldn't have our story. We've been married 16 years. I consider that success. Other people looked at me like I was crazy, like, dog, you walked away from what? And a lot of people in our life, they will judge success in their life by money. I don't judge my life and success by money. I judge success in my life by purpose fulfilled, by impact more than money comes and goes. I've ran through money. I've made tons of money and I've ran through it, made bad decisions, so on and so forth. And I've learned a lot. But I consider one of the most successful things I've ever done in life was marry my wife. I consider my marriage to be a major aspect of my success, and that my growth as a man came at the decision to marry my wife at God's direction. The crazy thing is now I'm in a new place, right? I'm older, but the blessing is God has helped me to retain my youth. Like, yo, most people don't wouldn't know I was 40 if I didn't tell you. Most people only know I'm 40 if you follow my career enough to know, yo, P gotta be, he been doing this a long time. He gotta be such and such age. But God has allowed me to retain my youth. Why? Because I have more to do. I have more on my assignment. So what's amazing is I've accomplished a lot of those dreams, right? So I'm telling you, I mean, I can't even tell you the rooms, and if I was to really share and write a book maybe of the rooms and the places, the meetings I've had and the people I've got to work with, I'm like, people that you've only seen on TV, how am I in this room? Why am I talking to this executive? Why am I around this major figure? Why am I in this huge mansion? Why am I? And I always felt like Joshua and Caleb. I always felt like, if it didn't happen, if everything I wanted didn't happen, it's because God was giving me a preview of coming events, but He was giving me the wisdom. He was giving me the wisdom to manage it. So a lot of times when you're young and you're anxious and you're excited and hype and you see the world that's available to you in terms of, yo, I come from North Philly, but now I'm in a place where I didn't know none of this existed. This is not the stuff you see on TV or in movies. This is, yo, I'm in a room with, I'm not going to say name, this name, that name. And I'm like, now you know it's possible, right? But I didn't have the wisdom to obtain those things just yet. So, and sometimes there's some successes God won't let you have because it's not just for you. Sometimes if I would have received the successes early on that I really, really, really wanted, like if I would have did this deal, made this millions of dollars, made this X, I would have squandered it because I was bad with money, right? But what happens is, I'm getting distracted by a message I got. So what I realize is God, the calling on my life is to shepherd people. Now, when you hear that, you think automatic pastor, but a shepherd is not necessarily, even what the pastor, the word pastor means to pasture, which is a shepherd. But the Lord called me to shepherd people. What does that mean? My life, I asked God one day when I was about to die, what was I born for? He let me know my purpose. You're a shepherd. Your job, your purpose is to take care of a people. So for instance, if I had made X amount of dollars when I was 23, if I'd have signed that deal, looking back now, I would have squandered that money, and then I couldn't have taken care of the people that God has assigned to my life, right? So I know that that I know now what the Lord, what I know now, I didn't know then, obviously. But at 40, I didn't know at 23. I went through years of like, yo, I should have signed, I should have did. And as the years progress and as you get older, as a father, as a husband, your heart changes. What's important, Matt, what's important changes. How I handle money, how I do business, how I understand things, all of those things I grew. There were people and ingredients and things that came into my life that taught me valuable lessons. Now, you take the kind of man I am, and if you were to put that same money and opportunity in the hands of that man, of this man that came to me then, put $1,000 in my hand, I'm gonna make $100,000 happen. I'm just telling you, that's just how I work. That's how my mind works. That's how my gift works. But maturity produced the ability to do that. When you were younger, if you'd have put that money in my hands, and I went through mad money. I can't even tell you how many gigs. I was in the studios, cutting records, getting placements on tour, this tour, that tour, that tour at the same time. I was making bread when I was younger. I was wasting money. So let me have signed a deal. I'd have wasted money. I'd have been like so many people who get those sign those contracts that you see on True Hollywood Story. Yo, he bought he bought this mansion, he bought these cars and all of this bling. Yeah, I'd have been that guy. And so God, wow, he let me make a certain amount of good money. He refrained. He was like, nah, all right, let me stop here. And it was at his instruction. No, don't take this deal. And I fought God like, why? And now I know why. Oh yeah, I would have been, and God forbid, I wouldn't even probably be talking in any realm of faith the way I speak in terms of the word. I'd have just been completely out there. And I know that now, knowing myself. But I say all that to say now as I fast forward, and I saw somebody ask a question about how do you deal with regrets. How do you deal with regrets losing a good deal? I didn't lose any good deals. I had regrets, but my regrets were immature. Like the regrets that I did have that I thought I had, they were all lessons. And when the Lord had me change as I grew and got into a place of forgiveness, and I started learning to stop being so emotional and actually just look at things as a man. When I became a man, I put away childish things. And it took a while. But I start looking back at what I used to think was regrets. And when I start looking at them as lessons, it's almost like I was reading my own book, my own life book. It's like, you know how we read other people's books and we gain wisdom? Well, sometimes all you gotta do is look back at your own life. And I journal everything. I'm a writer. Biz, what up, bro? I write everything down. I mean, look, all right, I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. I write everything. Like I document, I write everything. That's just a very small portion. This stuff I'm working on right now, crazy. But I've been writing. I got books from, I'll say, I've always written things down, but I still have books dating all the way back to my mid-20s. I still have actual written books that I keep. My wife be like, you hoard. Now I'm like, no, these are lessons. These are books that I gotta write. I have books always. I'm 40 now. Since I was about 25, 24, 25, I've been documenting everything. I encourage you to do that. You can do it with a computer now, but I just something about writing on an actual page. It's different. If I lose a hard drive, I mean, I still got my books. I can go back and look at life lessons, look at visions I wrote down. There are things that I've written that I go back and look at. I'm like, yo, I accomplished that. Oh, shoot. Like that. When the Bible tell you write a vision, make it plain, that thing is real. You'd be surprised if you write stuff down. That's a first sign of manifestation when you write things down. That's a secret, right? So now I can go back and look at Paris. You always hear people say, what would the 40-year-old Paris say to the 25-year-old Paris? I can actually go back and look at what I've documented and how I lived. And my own story helps me propel forward because now I gain wisdom from my own story. You'd be surprised what your story will tell you. Now, if you're young and you haven't lived, then live a little, document everything, write everything down. Keep a journal. I always encourage that. We always know women to keep diaries, but men, you need to keep a journal, keep something, because you'd be surprised. That stuff can turn to a book later, and you don't know how many people you can bless with that. I've literally been working on a book. I'm just trying to figure out what to share and what to not share to protect other people, because I'm not in the game of making money at other people's expense. And I'm a big advocate for forgiveness. That don't mean I always do it well, but I'm a big advocate for forgiveness. There's so much power, so much wisdom and wealth in forgiveness, and people don't understand. Some of us lack wealth because we lack forgiveness. God can't give you some things until you give up some things, and we be holding on to bitterness and grudges with people, and God like, I can't give you nothing on top of that. You got to get rid of that, because unforgiveness is like it's something that you have in your vault that's taking up the space of what would be wealth. So if I keep a lot of unforgiveness and a record of wrongs of what somebody does, it's like I don't have no space to put the gold because I got something sitting in that space. Unforgiveness is letting all of that go and you making room for what God wants to bless you with. If you are operating in unforgiveness and all of that type of stuff, you don't have room for wealth. You don't have room for, and when I say wealth, I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about true wealth. What's true wealth? Peace, joy, love, happiness, all of these kindness, these things that you need to put in your heart. If you have unforgiveness and bitterness towards anyone in your heart, you can't that those things can't occupy that space, and you lose out big time. So I say all that to say, now that I'm at 40, I'm at a milestone place in my life. And I'm finding that I'm dreaming again like I used to when I was a kid. And I'm in the momentum. The things that I've done. Sometimes, like I see, a lot of times when you older in this industry, especially the music industry, older people always want to remain relevant. Like, yo, how do I stay relevant? How I stay hot? How do I keep up with yo? I'm watching these young 20-year-olds do what I used to do that I didn't quite get the recognition for. So what? You did it, didn't you? Then what you need? What you need that for? I had to learn to become a champion for the young ones running. But I'm like, yo, I've already set bars. But I don't need to stay in the place I used to be. I ain't got to remain hot for that. Now let me set new bars. Let me set new standards. Let me break trends and break these. And then let me move the culture forward 20 more years. You know what I'm saying? I've been a part of amazing movements that have changed the game. Why would I need to stay in the same? I don't want to stay in the same lane. If you're older and you've been in this thing, move to something else that nobody else has done. Think out the box. I'm telling you, I'm working on some new projects right now that got me feeling like I'm 12 and 13. I'm like a kid, and and it's crazy because now that I have a 12-year-old, me and my son are enjoying each other because dad has become like a 12-year-old in his pursuit of the new. This is 2021, y'all. In your pursuit of the new, become like a kid again. You know, let your faith exercise your faith anew. Let it make you young again. Go hard in the paint for something. I'm literally feeling like that kid that was in the classroom back when I was in junior high school, and I would dream of, you know, being on tour. When I would dream of, you know, being in the studios, and when I would dream of that, and then I used to dream of the day where people would know my name, you know, because I used to go through being bullying. I used to get beat up. I used to be the kid that would wear Bobos to school. Where back then we used to wear Payless and Favor and all of those shoes and stuff. Where I couldn't afford to wear. I didn't have Nikes and Jordans and things like that growing up. I didn't have all the, you know, when I would see the kids come in, they was wearing popular clothes. Nah, me and my brothers was doing hand me downs, and in my case, I was doing hand me ups because I was the smallest. I was the oldest, but the smallest. So I know about extreme poverty. I know about being on welfare. I know about growing up in, I mean, just I've grown up in neighborhoods and places where you like, is there anything but this? But I would dream. I would dream. I would just dream. I would be in the back of the class sketching out me being like George Lucas. I would dream about, you know, creating my own cartoons and creating my own movies. I used to dream about those things. And when I got in the music industry, when I started doing music, I started having new dreams. And that was a little bit, it was like God was like, that is more doable. The music thing that I got into was a dream, but it wasn't the biggest ones. The music side was the one that was the closest to where I was at, and God allowed me to get into that. That brought me to this other dream. Now that I'm 40, I'm in a new place. And the dreams that I really dreamed of when I was a kid, the bigger dreams, I am now a lot closer to those. And it's crazy. Happy New Year to you, fam. Chris McDaniel, thank you, thank you. God bless you. So I'm at a new place, but it's a form of renewing. If you keep your faith strong, like if you've accomplished certain things in life, or if you haven't, renew your mind, renew your dreams, and start going back, pulling out. That's why I tell you, write everything down. Write everything down. Dyron, what up? What up, cuz? Write everything down and keep moving. You know, don't chill on the resentment and the harbingness of bitterness and anything of those natures. James Forbes, my guy. If you've accomplished something, yo, why do you think in Genesis when God was creating everything, every day he would say what? This is good. Okay. On the first day he did this, the second day he did that. And every day he was able to say it is good. When you accomplish things, put a check mark on that, John. Like, yo, this is good. You know what I mean? You still got more things you want to do, but learn to recognize when you've accomplished a level. You know, when you play video games, you board after board after board after board. Well, do you stay on this? If you beat a board, do you stay on the same board or do you move to the next thing? We got to learn to do that. And the problem is a lot of times, and especially with social media and things like that, we find ourselves comparing ourselves to other people, and we see them do it, so we want to do it. We see them do it, so we want to do it. And we're not being true to what God has put inside of us. Forget what everybody else is doing, whatever video people posted of them shedding and playing. Yo, I gotta do that because I want to be hot like that. What are your dreams? What is inside of you to do that is unique to you? Even if you've never seen nobody else do it. When I say keep moving, right? Movement, I'm saying keep moving in a sense of I see this impossible thing in my spirit. I see it. God keeps showing it. And I never forget, I heard Miles Monroe say the difference between he's like one of my biggest heroes that I've actually been able to serve under a couple times. But Miles Monroe used to always say, he has a book about vision. I would encourage you to read that. The difference between an idea and a vision. He said everybody has ideas, right? Ideas can be fleeting. You can get a quick idea today and it be gone tomorrow. He said, but the difference between an idea and a vision is a vision is an idea, and a vision is the idea that won't leave you. I'll say that again. Miles Monroe said the difference between an idea and a vision. Ideas can be fleeting. It can be here today and gone tomorrow. But a vision is the idea that won't leave you. Can I ask you a question? What is the idea that won't leave you? It's been here. I had this idea yesterday. It's here today. It's a year later. The idea is there. It's 2 years later. The idea is 5 years later. The idea is there. That's your vision. Number one, you have a responsibility with your vision. Habakkuk 2:2, I believe, talks about write the vision, make it plain. Write your vision down. Even if it feels like something impossible to do and accomplish, I'm telling you, write that thing down. Write that thing down as detailed as you can think of it. If you see colors, write the colors. If you see shapes, sizes, dimensions, numbers, however detailed you can get that vision out, write it down. That automatically brought it from the supernatural to the natural. Literally, when you put something down on paper, and I'm going to show you a drawing. I'll show you all a drawing just to give you an idea what I'm talking about. I always want to be, I'm going to be a champion to y'all as much as I can. You know, if I'm doing my dreams and God is allowing me to get things done, I'm going to push to show y'all to do y'all. So for instance, this was something that I saw in my mind, right? All the way back in 2005. Now, maybe not this specific drawing, but this is something that I saw in my mind that I would daydream about. Now, what you can see that you couldn't, that I just showed you, only I was seeing it for a long time. The first sign of manifestation is me putting it down on paper. Now, what I can tell you from my mouth, yo, guess what I saw? You are actually looking at what I saw. There's another dimension to this thing that I'm working on that I am now because I put that on paper. Now I go from putting it on paper to now, what's the next level of that? Bam. And there's dimensions and levels of getting a vision to become a reality. Moody, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Moose, what's good? So there are levels to your vision, but the first level to your vision after when you is seeing it is to manifest it in paper form. Now, even before I did it in a drawing, I wrote down what the idea was. Then I was like, okay, let me sketch out the idea. Then I've gone to levels where let me put some color on it. Okay, now let me see. Now, the funny thing is at the time, I didn't know how to animate. I didn't know how to, I knew how to draw. I knew how to illustrate. I knew how to color. I knew how to do Photoshop, all of that. But I didn't know how to get a picture to move. Since I first seen that thing, I've learned many courses and classes, trial and error, buying software. I learned how to make that thing move. It took so long for me to get to a point to where I can make the vision reality. I can't even tell you what's going on right now. I can't tell you about things that the new place that I'm in to accomplish something that I've never seen anybody in my life accomplish. I'm working on those types of things right now. And I know that I'm embarking upon manifestation on some things because I've done it before when I was 18 in my music career. I know what it means to go from just daydreaming to now I'm in the room that I used to dream I would be in. I'm working with the people I would dream I would be working with. I know how to manifest a dream. I know how to do it. I've walked this out before. Now I'm older and I'm wiser. I can walk it out, but I can walk it out way more wiser, way more detailed, way more efficiently. I know what to say no to, so on and so forth. And I think somebody asked a question that was really good earlier. Y'all asked some good questions. I'm always open to questions. Ooh, I didn't even see that before, Mr. B. Will. That's dope. Yes, sir. But I don't know if it's too far up. But anyway, so yo, Moody, make sure you inbox me. Hit me up for sure. I'm very, very busy these days, like because I gotta manifest something else. Cause my thing is this. Now, when you turn 40, yo, something something hit different. When you 20, you think you can do anything, and you think you got time. When you hit 40, you know that that's not true. You value time differently, so you're way more purposeful. I can't do everything everybody wants me to do and connect with. There's a lot of that. There's a lot for me moving forward that I'm just saying no to. Just and it ain't even on some savage vibes. It's like I am busy, and and it's a great thing. And the busy that I am right now is necessary for the people that I'm called to. It's like if I don't do what I see myself doing, the people that God has called me to be a blessing to don't get blessed. I missed that. Humber. I don't know if I say your name right. I don't know how I missed that. I'm gonna go back and look at the message. Okay. But that's all I wanted to say this morning. This is, even though it may not seem deep, it is, because stuff like this alters the course of lives. You know what I mean? Who inspired me to do music? My dad, my mother. Dad, multi-instrumentalist, pastor. My mom, a songwriter, singer. They were my first heroes, and then Ty was the next biggest one after that. And if you know the story with Ty, I was 12 years old when I saw Ty. I was 18 years old when he saw me. And then I began to travel with him for 10 years and worked with him, and it opened everything up. And so that was a big, big, big major point. But I was a part of Ty's early successes. I was a part of a lot of those, his first four records. Actually five now if you think about it. Got you. I got you. I didn't put the two together. Cool. Yeah, so I always tell people, man, too, it's a beautiful thing as well if you can. Don't create idols. Whatever you do, do not create idols. Why? Because that puts you in conflict with God. So don't create. I hate when people say, "Yo, that's my idol." Don't just, even if you like. I don't mean it literally. Don't do that. I'm telling you, it's okay to have heroes, but don't make idols. It's very important. Chris McDaniel, I will do it. I will do that. I will do that. I will do that. I got you. I will be. I enjoy doing these. And yes, Conroy, definitely, absolutely. What's up, bro? What's the any questions you could take? Cause I gotta get start working. I'll give myself. I need to go do some gym. I need to go to the gym. Exactly. Is that? Yep. It's good to admire, but not to. Don't exalt. I'm telling you, stay. Whatever you do, and it's for my people who understand the realm of faith and you're believers. Whatever you do, don't ever put yourself in conflict with God. Especially if you're trying to accomplish your dreams, you don't want to be in conflict with God. He's the one that gave you the dream. He wants Let me tell you something. The rooms that I've been in, the people I got to work with, God want to do that for you. He wants that to happen, but he ain't gonna violate his word to make it happen either. Yo, you got idols and idols and idols, and you people got they make an idol out of Grammy awards, Oscar awards. Don't chill on all of that. If God want you to have it, if you just put your head down and accomplish the vision and the dream, you'll be surprised what come. You'll be like, oh shoot, I got a Grammy. Oh shoot, like it'll happen, but you don't have to. You ain't got to chase those things. Keep the vision. God, what is it that you built, you made for me to do? Even if it's impossible, you never seen nobody in your family do it. You never seen anybody in your circles. I don't even know nobody. That don't matter. Dream and work. Move towards it. It will make, I'm telling you, y'all, if I was to tell you all my credits, I can't remember all the credits because I'll offend the people I worked with. I worked with everybody I wanted to work with except the ones who died. Like I said, I wanted to work with Michael, but I got to work with Janet. That's amazing. And she spoke to me. Now, sometimes you work with people at that level, they don't talk to you. Now, Janet thanked me for doing the 2009, 2010 American Music Awards. I couldn't believe, I would have never known that my friend Adam Blackstone, who I met when he was at University of the Arts, and he was still in college when I met Adam Blackstone. And my fault, my alarm went off. I keep alarms on my phone to keep me focused to get work done. So my alarm went off. It's time for me to go to work. But I will answer your question. Hold on for a second. But when I would have never known my friend Adam Blackstone would have got the Janet Jackson account when I first met him. When he was, I'm older than Adam Blackstone. So he was still in college when I first met him. We linked up to do an R&B gig with some local friends. Me, him, Bananas, Ty, I think it was Pudge or Spanky. I'm not sure exactly who's on drums. And we did this local R&B situation. And then Adam goes on and he connects with Questlove. And then Adam just climbed. And then all of a sudden, Adam had the Janet Jackson account. And then he had another keyboard player he was using. And I'll never forget, the other keyboard player ended up taking on something else at the time. And Janet needed somebody to help program and arrange the American Music Awards for that year. And Adam called me and was like, yo, P, you available? Can you get to the studio right now? We working on that Janet Jackson American Music Awards show. Can you come be a part? And I'm like, yes. I got in that car and drove 2 hours up there. She paid me very good for a few hours of work. We arranged out and I performed and played the music awards. And I'll never forget when we were finished the session, she heard it back, and she called Adam on the phone and she just personally thanked me for being a part in doing the session. You think I would have ever thought in a million years I'd have been getting thanked by Janet Jackson after being a young boy when I remember watching the Velvet Rope tour with Little John playing on it. You couldn't have told me I'd have had that opportunity. Do you think everybody knows about that? No, but I don't care. It was for me. God did that for me. God showed me, Paris, I can do the impossible for you if you stick with me. I've accomplished I've done and worked with mad people. I've sat at tables with powerful people that people would wish they could be in rooms with. God is faithful. I got an amazing resume. And that's great for then. All of that was the past. Guess what? I'm moving towards some other things that I know if God did that before, he going to do even greater moving forward. That's the kind of faith I have. And it keeps me young. It keeps me moving. And it keeps me very intentional. But guess what? More importantly, what it keeps me doing? It keeps me worshiping God. Why? Because it is him that gave me the power to get wealth. It is him that did it. Exactly. Yomi, exactly. Far above. And I'm telling you, now when it comes to how you handle it's a whole other side to success. And it's a part where you're being responsible. You know how to handle your money. You know how to multiply. And you do all. Now, that's what I've learned over these 20 years, how to do those things. Now you get put into certain rooms and you get certain opportunities. The question is, when they give you that check, do you know how to manage your money? Because a lot of us don't know how to do that. Well, I had to go through a lot to learn to be good with my money, to learn how to multiply my money, to do this, to do that. It's a whole nother level. Now I'm in a place where I'm in a generational mindset. How do I set up generational wealth? How do I build the kingdom of God? That's how I wasn't thinking like that when I was 20. I do think like that now. Now I'm on a whole nother kick. And that's what this is all about. You understand? But let me see. I'm gonna get to your question real quick, bro. Oh yes, Moose. I'm here for it, bro. We working on some amazing stuff. He said, "Could you explain how you learn music, like the breakdown? How I learn music? Man, it's so much different than how I used to learn. From one, I was an avid coming up before all everything I was talking about. I'm telling you, before I met bit those rooms with Timbaland and met all those different people before Ty, I practiced 7, 8 hours a day, easy. I was a very, very anal, and this is way before social media, way before YouTube, way before you could slow a video down, way before we had software. I'm a 1980s guy, so when I was learning to play, you had cassette tape. You had to slow it down. You had to stop it. You couldn't slow it down. You had to keep rewinding and start and stop it. So I had developed. In that time, I developed a strong ear. I could, you know what I mean. So learning now is a lot different for me than it was then. It was a lot harder. So the players today have it much easier to learn. You have way more resources. But to me, I believe it weakens the way everybody learns today. Is while it's an amazing resource, I believe it weakened the musicians, in my opinion. It's almost like, for instance, you don't remember phone numbers because it's all locked in your phone. Back in the day, we used to have to remember phone numbers. You don't remember phone numbers now. I can barely tell you my wife's phone number and my number because you all you gotta do is just I just send you the, you know what I mean? It literally technology, while it can be convenient, is horrible for the human condition as a whole. Looking at your phone all the time for hours on hours will mess your eyes up. You don't you know what I mean? You need your eyes. But if you're looking at text messages, phones, social media all day, I'm saying all that to say, now when I learn, because I spent all those years back in the 90s developing my hearing, I can hear the music that I was learning back then was way harder than the music you learn now. So a lot of times when somebody send me songs, by the time I listen to it once or twice, I know it without even playing because I've developed the ear. It's very rare that somebody sends me music that I'm not like 1, 3, 6, 5, flat five, and then usually what I'm doing is I usually study pattern first. If I can determine what the key is, and because I know numbers, if I hear a song, I'm listening for song structure because that helps me learn. So I'm literally listening to the song, like how many times did they do the verse? How long is the intro? They did that twice. Okay, intro's twice. So I'm literally mapping it twice. Verse, they did the verse. Okay, that's 4. Then okay, pre-chorus, that's 2. Okay, hook once. Okay, music past it. I literally do that. Mentally, I play it out. I get the pattern down so that by the time I listen to it back again, I'm literally, um, I'm literally, I've already mapped out the pattern. Now I'm an outline, build outline, then go into details. You know what I mean? And then for me, I go outline, start detailing the insides, and then there usually are more details. What's the, there's a specific motif they play at this part. After I get those 2 levels, then I break down a specific motif. And then I try to, after I mentally do it, then I'll get to a keyboard. And then I use that to build my muscles to say, dag, I didn't map it out as good as I thought I did. You know what I mean? I challenge myself, but I do that usually before. I'll do all of that in my head before I even touch the keyboard. And then by the time I get to the keyboard, I'm literally challenging myself to see how close to the record that I learned that I got down. And most times, because of the way most people write these days, I'm usually right on it. I can usually learn the song before I go to praise and worship. If the praise and worship set is super simple, exactly, Khalil. Um, as a music director, that's definitely something I listen to. I pay attention to again, but I still do it in that same format, like outline, get the structure of the song first. What's the type? And usually, another thing I do too is mentally, everything is really nothing new under the sun. So I usually connect what this song is to something I already know. So for instance, this feels like that Michael Jackson song. So I'll mentally lock that in. This is the Michael Jackson song. So to make sure I have the feel and the dynamic of the song. Then I'll get the structure. Then I'll start breaking down within those bodies the specifics, the chord, what the chord is, what if it's diminished, if it's major, if it's minor. Most people don't, unless you playing jazz and some more complex stuff. Most things is really majors, minors, diminishes. It sus. A lot of stuff don't really go outside of those. You know what I mean? Like, so for popular music in any realm, whether it's pop, because gospel is a form of pop, all of those things, everything is fairly simple. Now, the more detailed a song gets, I still break everything down the same way in those bodies. Structure, a little bit more detail, and then specifics. Who are the best MDs for you? Keys or bass or drummer? It's the person. It's not. It's never the specific instrument. That's the best MDs. A good MD is a person who can communicate to everybody. That's really what it comes down to. What's the person's ability to communicate? Can you communicate? If you communicate to a drummer, can the drummer interpret what you communicate? If you're communicating to bass players, if you communicate to guitar players, so whoever can communicate the best is the best MD. And I've worked with some MDs who know how to speak the language to a drummer. I know some guys who are great. Is exactly what it is, speaking. Yep. But the person who can, and then there have been guys who, you traditionally, in gospel, traditionally the MD is usually the keyboard player. We've watched that opened up over the past 20 years, where you're seeing bass players be great MDs. In fact, historically, a lot of great bass players. You got Ricky Minor, you got Adam Black, you got who else? I'm missing Randy from American Idol. Randy. It's a lot of bass players who are great MDs. I met some drummers who will get MDs, but if you're a drummer who don't know how to speak to keyboardists and stuff like that, because I've had drummers who try to MD me, who what are you talking about? You can communicate rhythm, but you can't communicate. You're not telling me. You can't tell me what chords I'm playing. At least with bass players, I've seen bass players spell out chords a little bit and different things that they need. It's a few drummers that I've met that could MD me well enough where we're not losing time in the communication. Randy Jackson, yep, that's it. Maurice Fitzgerald, yeah, that's my guy right there. But it's a communication thing. So but the way I learn is first, literally, I listen, and then as I'm listening, I'm breaking down. Sometimes if I don't have time, I'm immediately going into the structure listen, right? But if I do got some time, I'll listen to enjoy. Because to me, if you enjoy a song, you're going to retain it better. If you genuinely like a song, you're like, yo, that joint is great. Oh, shoot. You'll apply it a lot better. So I listen to a song. If I have time, I listen to a song to enjoy it. If I don't, I automatically start breaking down the structure. And by the time I listen to it a second time, I already know the structure. And that's why sometimes when I work with MDs and I'm not the one that's MDing, if I know the structure, I don't like to challenge MDs, but I'll know this dude don't know the music and he MDing me. You know what I mean? But I will always encourage you, whether you're the music director or not, learn as if you're the music director. Learn the music as if you're the guy that got to teach it. Because when you learn to teach something, you retain the music differently if you're just learning your parts. I'm telling you. I know if I get music that don't have vocals on it, I usually like to hear vocals. So that vocals can, the words and melodies and things are your map. That's how I look at vocals. I listen to that stuff for my roadmap. Okay, that's dope. That's dope. Yeah, so I gotta jump off to listen. Anybody want to ever ask questions? You can always DM me. I respond to my DMs. I communicate. I talk to everybody, man. Because I always imagine that if I was the one on the asking side as a kid when I was coming up, if somebody would have answered my questions, what that would have done for me, if somebody would have responded to me, my heroes, it would have set me off on another trajectory. And so I communicate as if I'm that person. I answer everybody because I always imagine that the person that I'm answering is me. That's how I think. People be like, yo, why are you so humble? It's not that I'm humble. It's just that I'm actually thinking about myself, the younger version of me. If the older Paris Bowens would have talked to the younger Paris Bowens, how much further along would I have been? So I treat everybody as I would treat myself. And that's just how you function. And that's how that's how you be a blessing, man. Anton, my brother. Moose, I appreciate you, fam. I love South Africa, man. I love South Africa. Um, what part of South Africa are you in? I've been to I've been to Johannesburg. I've been to Durban. I want to come to Cape Town. I've never been to Cape Town. I've always heard of how beautiful Cape Town is. And I've been to Zimbabwe, Nigeria. I've been to Nigeria the most out of every place, probably about 8 times. Ghana, Malawi. I love Africa. I love Africa. I have such a heart for Africa. In ministry. Welcome in the Free State. I've never heard of it. Wow. How? Okay, that's dope. Well, hopefully I can get out there. I got some dope things coming up. Um, New record on the horizon. I believe y'all really gonna love this new album. Titus, good morning, bro. This new record on the horizon. I have some new content that I'm launching out, which I'm super excited about. Um, the biggest project is with that cartoon is the biggest one, which is going to be crazy. I can't even talk about that because I wouldn't want to be premature. When it's time to promote that stuff, you guys will see. Um, and just in ministry wise, that's a big portion of where I'm in. I'm preaching and things of that nature. So, I'm that's the lane that I'm in, and I really don't have time to work with a lot of other artists in terms of playing other people's music because I got too much on my plate that I'm releasing myself. It's like when you got that stuff, I got too much to give. So let me see. Question. Is it the truth if you learn jazz, your skills will grow more than studying other genres? I can't say that that's true because I learned everything from gospel, and from gospel, I've played every other genre of music. So I can't, you know, I've gotten jazz gigs because of what I've learned in church. I've gotten pop gigs, hip hop gigs. Every gig I've ever been on is stemmed from church, not from jazz. Um, and then you said watching from Kenya, I will teach you how to marathon like I learned music from you. So what does that mean? What is marathon? You mean racing? He said, have you ever got called for a gig that you weren't ready for? Recently happened to me and it put a fire under my feet. Yes. Yes. Conroy, absolutely yes. Um, oh my God. And you know what? In fact, there was a gig that I did that I got called for. I had gotten to this point where it was like it felt like you up to bat and everybody's throwing you a ball and you can't miss. Every time somebody throw you a ball, you knock it out the park. You killing, right? And then it was like when you get into that kind of momentum, you like, yo, I could do anything. And I never forget, I got called for one session one time, and it was a Latin session. And out of all the other genres I ever played, I never really dug into Latin except for when you would have certain songs that were like Latin gospel, whatever. But I never dug into the full culture of Latin music. I'll never forget um, That sounds like fun, Philip. Um, I never forget I got called to do this session that was a real Latin session. And if you know anything about Latin, I love Latin piano players, but I never had enough opportunity to play it. Well, I was trying to do this session, and they paid me a lot of money. I literally, after about an hour and some change, trying to get this song, I'm in the room, and it was one of those sessions where they didn't give me music pre-session. You got it when you came in. So I learned fairly fast. So I was confident that I could do it. I'm in that room, and they're trying to break this session down to me, and I'm the only piano player. So it's not like somebody's teaching me the piano part. It's me, a drummer, and a bass player, and a guitar player. And so they feed me the chords, but the style and the language I wasn't familiar with to give it an authenticity. After about an hour and some change, I gave them their money back. I said, "Yo, it's not righteous for me to do this to you guys. Let me get my skill level up in this genre, and hopefully in the future I'll be able to come back and do that session." But then that made me go back home and say, "Let me start studying Latin players, Latin music and the language and the rhythms and it was a whole different thing." So I've been through that where I had to turn down some gigs and opportunities because I wasn't studied in those zones. So yeah, that's a big one. Um, what kind of racing? You mean track or that sounds like something I would love to learn how to do. That would be amazing. 'Cause that'd be great for my health. Moose, I love to collaborate, man. Love to collaborate. Philip, that sounds super dope. Yeah, yeah. Which version? Because I got like a million versions of Bless the Lord. Um, that's one of my favorite Andre Crouch songs. I had the privilege of working with him before he passed, or not working directly with him, but we were getting ready to do a tour with him with Mano. Incredible stuff, man. I gotta do a book or a documentary one day. I wanna do one day, but it's gonna take. I think I'm gonna wait till I get past a certain phase to do something like that. Um, oh, ties. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah. I absolutely can do that for sure. You said learning licks is your downfall for drums. In summary, art of aux. Yep, yep. Art of aux. In summary, so art of aux is simply that master class is really, and I got some more volumes that we're going to add to it. Me and John Mike, but it's basically an introductory view into a world of playing the auxiliary parts. And so a lot of people, when you're learning to play, most people are learning to play mains. Um, Learning to play mains. Most people you're starting on piano and things like that. Um, Auxiliary is the art of learning how to play multiple instruments using the keyboard. So a drummer plays drums, guitarist plays guitar, bass plays bass, and the piano player or the mains player is either playing piano, Rhodes, or anything of that nature. And even the organ player can still be its own separate entity. But an auxiliary player has to fill in the gaps for all of the for instruments, all those other unaccounted for instruments, i.e., strings, sound effects. If you don't have a horn section, horns, um, pads, and I mean, it's just so many more elements, and it's something that is not really widely taught. You kind of usually through producers and things like that, you kind of got to find your way when it comes to sounds, and it's been very experimental up until this point. I teach a basic foundational course on just learning, arming you to go into any job and being able to cover ground around all other instruments, basically. And it's a humbling position, but it's also a very powerful one if you understand how to communicate. And it comes down to communication. You communicating with other instruments and finding what's needed and what's not needed. It's a very it's dope, man, and it's fun. I had a lot of fun doing the course. Um, yeah, Phil Lasseter is incredible. Um, but it's also the gift of a composer Usually, a person who's an auxiliary player is a person who can arrange and compose, because you have to figure out how to fill in spots in these songs and enhance the music without getting in the way. And it is a very it's a fun thing. You see a track long distance running. Ooh, Phil, hit me up, bro. Hit me up, bro. And I got some good. I got some great friends. Aux is something that I fell into um, with my father, because he was the main player at my church, and he taught me how to play aux first to assist him. Fill in the gap. Don't play exactly. My dad used to be like, "Don't play what I'm playing. Cover me. Filling around me." And then when you were a kid, you're like, "What does that mean?" And so my basic aux setup was always strings and horn patches and lead sounds. Disney's Soul movie was really dope. Um, there's some things in there that I didn't like from a spiritual perspective, but I did appreciate the musicality and the fact that you were getting a movie on a platform that showed musicians, and then even showed a deeper realm of musicians, and I think it had a good overall message. Um, I don't like to mess with things like chakras and all that stuff. I don't fool with that stuff, because that stuff is witchcraft. But um, but the overall tone of the movie was beautiful. I thought it was beautifully well animated. I'm a big fan of animation. Um, well animated. The art was incredible. The music, I love that they captured. Actually, when you saw his hands moving, they animated what the man would have been playing, which I thought was really dope. It was dope. It was dope. I gotta watch it again. I watched it with my family on Christmas. It was dope. Um, okay, Phil. Oh yeah, my mom and my dad, man. Musically, we came up in a musical family, like the James Wright, bro. But let me see. Am I endorsed? Yes, yes. I have a relationship with Nord, um, which is a huge blessing. Which is weird, because let me tell you something. As musicians, I know a lot of us look to, one of some of our goals is to be endorsed and things of that nature. Um, there were times in my career that I wanted to be endorsed, but I just love keyboards. So I used to be afraid to be endorsed, because if it meant me not being able to play other things that I wanted to play. With guitars, it makes sense. With drums, it makes sense. With bass, it makes sense. But with keyboards, to get sounds from different places, you need multiple types of brands. What makes Nord amazing, and what made it make sense for me, is I watched my boy Evan Bryce use Nord for more than what I usually see people use Nord for. Most people I see use Nord for their mains, their organs, their Rhodes, things of that nature. I watched Evan transform it into an aux board and get sounds out of it that I'm like, wait, what? So I'm like, yo, okay. He made me really take a strong look at Nord. It's a lot more. It's a very flexible board that I didn't know, and I'm able to get mad crazy work out of it. If people was to hire me for a gig, I don't need. I can take my three Nords and get everything done. I don't think there's a job that I can't do without those three boards. It is the white that joint is crazy. Now Montage is a beast. Montage is a beast. I'm still not a big fan of Yamaha's pianos, and I don't like how their keyboard feels. I can't stand the motif in the Montage keyboard. But Chronos I love as an aux board. I'm not a fan of it as the mains. They still got some things they need to work out to make me comfortable enough to be like, yo, if I just have to go and live with this, I can't. I can live with a Montage and get work done. I can live with Nord and get work done. I don't feel that way about the Chronos. I feel like the Chronos is a good add-on, not my main situation. Buddy Strong is one of my brothers. We've been brothers for about, man, I've known Buddy over 15 years. We've been homies. I first met Buddy when Israel and Ty toured together back in the day, and me and him been brothers ever since. So yeah, that's my guy. We've done some gigs together, and we've done Marvin Sapp's "Here I Am" album together. We did that record together. Cameron, what up, my guy? Happy New Year. I have not fooled with the Roland RD 2000. Everybody keeps preaching to me that board is crazy. And I was a big Roland guy when I was with Israel. But I stopped playing with Israel. When I stopped playing with Israel, that was before the RD 2000 came out. And by that time, I had moved on to Nord. So I never really got into it. I gotta get off, y'all. It's 10:20 now. I got a lot of work to go to do. Any questions y'all got? I can go live again probably later on tonight, and we can talk some more if y'all down. I'm like maybe 10 o'clock, maybe 9, 10 o'clock tonight. We can go live. Y'all can see I'm losing my voice. When I be on here, I'll be losing my voice. But he said, "What's your favorite song to play?" Oh, I don't have. You know what? No. I'll take that back. Um, I love Armando's Roomba by Chicoria, if you know that one. Mitch's Moves, which is one I wrote. And I'm trying to think of another go-to of mine. Probably "I Will Bless the Lord" by Andre Crouch. That's that's like I will always, if I'm in church, I'm gonna usually jump on Mitch's Moves, Bless the Lord, and Armando's Roomba is one that I like to flex on these days. So, yep. So, yo, join me tonight, maybe 9 o'clock or something like that. Let's do that. Darnell, Happy New Year, bro. Much love to y'all. Thank y'all for rocking out with me today. Appreciate it.